Hey, it's Mike with Serr.biz, and now we are into part 2 of our SEO tutorial. What we're going to learn next is general concepts that are important for you to understand as we go deeper in and we have to start doing actual things. I want you to have a concept of what we're doing and why. And this concepts are that I'm going to discuss next is CCB related to SEO. CCB stands for code, content, and backlinks. And we're going to now delve into what that means. So first, what is code related to search engine optimization? Code is all the hidden stuff that you don't see as a user or any of your guests see as a user when they visit your website, etc. That is the HTML, the CSS, the JavaScript, the server setup, the secure socket layer, your DNS, blah, 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 blah. It gets pretty complicated and not really appropriate for this tutorial, but you do need to understand a few things about code to be able to successfully optimize your website for Google to find, read, and index it. Let's just jump over to the tutorial itself and go from there. Okay, so code, this is a pretty long section, so I'm going to break it up into a couple different parts. But the first three things that I find to be most important related to search engine optimization and code is one is your website mobile, meaning when somebody looks at it on a mobile device, tablet, a cell phone, what have you, does it scale? Does it look good? Can they navigate it easily? If you're not sure, I'll show you how to find out. If you're starting out, pretty much your site's going to be mobile responsive. It's a real priority for Google and their logarithm. In fact, I think the most recent, name of the update of how Google's doing things is mobile first. So if your site's not mobile, that's one of the very first things that you want to take care of. Like I said, newer sites, you're going to probably be using some type of CMS, some preset design template, and out of the box, it's going to be mobile friendly. But if you're not sure, let's just do this. If you go to your website and you just right click, I'm using Chrome, other browsers have this function as well, inspect. And you see it changed. And specifically up here, there's a little button that Google lets us see it in either desktop mode or mobile mode. And I can change the different, devices that I'm looking at. It's a simulation, but it's close. So like iPad looks a little different. Surface Duo, don't even know what that is. There's so many apps out there, so many platforms to check a website now. But the point is that it changed automatically. You didn't have to do anything special per se, and that's what you want your website to do. So if you're starting out new, make sure that your design template is mobile friendly, and then it changes. If you've got an old website and you do this and you got to zoom in and move the page around and all that, that means you're not mobile friendly, and that's one of the first things you need to do. So out of the bat, you're going to have to do a redesign in some capacity. So that's that. Also, while we're at it, I'm going to close out of that. I want to go back and just show you like what code is. If you just view page source, everything, this is actually the kind of technical back end of a website. You don't really want to get into this as a small business owner. This is just can be overwhelming. It's a whole career. This is what I do. So it's its own thing, and you don't really have time to deal with this as a local owner. You just want people to show up give you a call, make a reservation, what have you. But this is what we're talking about when we're talking about code, this kind of stuff. As I said, there is going to be a few things that you do need to at least wrap your head around. And related to search engine optimization, there's a number of things through your content management system, your website builder, that are going to let you add some code without actually having to hand code it per se. Don't freak out, it's not that hard, but having your head wrapped around it is going to help you. So now that was the first thing of the beginning part of what SEO code is. The next thing we want to know, is it fast? Does your website load quickly? You can test that right away yourself. Just go to your website and see how long it takes for the page to load. If it takes more than 2.5 seconds to fully load so people can start reading and learning about you, that's probably too slow. You want to be careful if you're going down the DIY road and you do it all yourself. There's a lot of cheap hosting companies out there where you can host your website, but the problem often is they're just that. They're uber cheap. And they're going to throttle your website. So you might have an awesome connection, but your server is slow and it's going to load the pages slow. The reason why that's a problem is Google, one, looks at that, but more importantly, humans look at that. If I go to a website and it takes like more than 3 seconds to load, I'm pretty much out of there. So all the other work that I did, blah, 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 my great message, my great service, if it doesn't load, or it takes too long to load, I've lost that customer or prospective customer. So you want to make sure your website is fast. Now, there's a lot of different platforms out there to build your website on. We like Duda, and we'll get more into that later because it's a completely hosted solution. I don't really have to do much on the code side as far as really getting down into it because they've optimized it. It runs fast, it's got good caching, uses the CDN, yada, yada, yada. So that's what you want to look for, is fast loading websites. Now, the next thing that I want to get into related to code and SEO is your website secure. That means, does it have an SSL? Again, it gets pretty technical. We've got tutorials on it. There's a bunch of tutorials just around the web about how to install an SSL on your website. But again, as a small business owner, you want that to be part of your hosted package, that it's just there, it's done. You don't really have to worry about it. You just pay your monthly fee and add your content and you're done. The way you can tell quickly is right up here. When you visit a page, does it have a lock? Now I'm using Chrome, so it's showing me a lock. If there's no lock, then your site is not secure. And you want to take care of that as soon as possible. Additionally, what happens if somebody visits your website without using HTTPS? Google Chrome is often, now just taking over the page and showing a warning. And I don't know about you, but like when I'm searching Google, if I, wind up on a site and I get this big warning from Google Chrome that it's not secure, I'm gone. So you want to make your pages secure. For additional reading, if you like, there is an additional tutorial through this tutorial related to HTTPS. But the bottom line is, you want to make sure your site is secure. You can easily see by checking if there's a little lock when you look at the URL browser window. If it's not, you need to go get yourself an SSL. All right, so that was just a quick first 3 things. Next up is going to be title tags and meta description. If you have any questions on what we just talked about, please do leave a comment below. I'll be happy to answer and or create a whole nother deeper dive tutorial if there's enough interest. So thanks for watching. My name's Mike with Serr.biz. That's Serr.biz, search engine ranking rules. Thanks for watching.